Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:02. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses and WCPC cable channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host. I'm in the studio this morning with the chairman of the board, Pete Coles, who's dealing with all kinds of tech issues over there.
They must have changed something up there. That's all I could say is they must have changed something.
They always change something up there.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't have any control over my cameras. Wrong camera.
Ah.
Sorry, I'm trying to lighten you up there.
No, that's okay. That's all right. It's been a little bit of a weird, techie, dealing with stuff kind of morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I came in, I had to reboot, and I'm like, all right, well, that's normal. I've had to do that before.
Yeah.
All right, nothing. Nothing.
I know. When I came in, Pete's like, all right, we got nothing here.
Nothing.
Right. But
Now
good.
we're good, yeah.
We're good. Okay.
Allegedly.
Oh, right. Hopefully. All right. So have we all settled down now?
Yeah, let's see.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I think we're fine.
So today is June 14th. It's Flag Day. So let's start out with that. So I read in today's Westfield News,
Yes.
I glance at that on my way in when I stop at the senior center. So I guess Representative Pease is taking over where former senator, representative, and mayor, he wore a lot of hats, Don Humison did, and he's going to be doing the Flag Day observance over at the Great Bridges, right? Is that
he
where
did
it's
mention that in his last appearance on Ken's Den.
Yes. Okay. So, that was in today's paper. So I believe that'll be between 4:30 and 6. So he hits the, everybody leaving and going home from work and school and so forth crowd.
Right. They're usually on the primarily on the south side of the bridge, people coming home.
Correct. Right. Correct. So he will be out there this afternoon and this evening, and I'm sure he'll have a group of other patriotic folk and volunteers and so forth. So let's talk about Flag Day for just a minute. On June 14th, we honor Old Glory on National Flag Day. This day commemorates the adoption of the United States flag on June 14th, 1777. On May 30th, 1916, President Woodrow Wilson issued a proclamation deeming June 14th as Flag Day. President Wilson stated, "It is the anniversary of the day upon which the flag of the United States was adopted by the Congress as the emblem of the Union." Since 1977, I was blown away by this. The design of the flag has been officially modified 26 times. That surprised me. I mean, I knew it had been changed, but I didn't realize it had been changed 26 times. But it kind of makes
dribs
sense.
And drabs.
Exactly. You know what, Pete? After I read that, I'm like, 26 times. And then I thought, well, sure, every time they added a state, they had to change the flag.
Correct.
For 47 years, the 48-star flag was in effect. In 1959, the 49-star version became official on July 4th, and President Eisenhower ordered the 50-star flag on August 21st, 1959. So it's where it is since 1959. That's been the latest change. 17-year-old Robert G. Heft of Ohio designed the 50-star American flag. His was one of more than 1,500 designs that were submitted to President Dwight D. Eisenhower. Thinking to myself, how many designs can you have for a flag with stars and stripes? But I guess a lot. So there you have it. It is Flag Day. Happy Flag Day. And again, and I'm sure that if you would like to join Representative Pease out there on the wherever it is, Esplanade or wherever they're going to be.
Yep.
I'm sure he would love that. So bring your flags. All right.
Yeah, if not, I believe they have some that you can wave as well.
Okay, very good. And also, just for those of you who don't know this, Julie Barnes, who is Director of Veteran Services, set up a flag drop box. So if you have a flag that needs to be retired because it's old and tattered and worn and torn and so forth, you can do so. That box is at the Senior Center right on the front porch, 24/7. We've had people that have just driven up like during lunch and said, I got to get out of my car to drop off my flag. Just let me have it. I'll throw it in the box for you. And then James goes out there about once a week, and you'd be surprised at how many flags are in there because, the box fills. And it was actually a veteran who designed and built this box. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. The box itself is a work of art.
That's really cool.
So, yeah, it is. It's really cool. So just so that people know that, you can drop your flags there anytime. We don't have to be open for you to do it because it's outside and it's like a mailbox. You just drop them right in there.
Gotcha.
So happy Flag Day. So, Pete, anything... I feel like there's so much going on at this time of the year. Did you do anything wild and crazy and special over the weekend?
No.
Okay.
I just
Did you work? Were you at Mount Holyoke?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is a nice time of year.
I was
it's nice
just
and quiet.
Honestly, Pete, I was driving into the parking lot going, you know what?
By the time you hear here next Wednesday.
In another week,
Yeah.
it's going to be quiet.
Yep.
So, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so right now, the only thing they have over there, Nike has a tennis camp
Okay.
for adults and then kids.
Oh, okay.
It's 2 different weeks.
All right.
And we have something called Gordon Research Conference that happens there like all summer.
Okay.
They
Sounds
use a couple
good.
of our dorms. And then there's various other things. I think they had a high school graduation that uses Abbey Chapel and stuff like that. So
Yeah. So, all good.
little things.
Yep, little things, but...
I think McDuffie graduates there.
Quiet. Okay.
And I think South Hadley did something there.
Okay.
So, yeah, we have little
Nice.
things, but
Yep.
yeah, this is nice.
But otherwise, it should be...
Yes.
kinda
Now I'm
steady
getting ready
and
for the
fun.
World Series. And
I know. So, yeah, so let's talk about that. I looked at my calendar because I'm preparing my guests for the next, several weeks. And I'm going, okay, when is Pete,
It's about a month.
heading to Florida? Yeah, it's about a month. So I just lined somebody up for the Wednesday before. It'll be like the last Wednesday that we do before you head to Florida. So how are things looking down there? Is everything pretty
it's the usual
good shape?
confusion.
A little confusion. Okay.
Usual confusion.
Yep.
I got to get some stuff ordered for stuff I'm missing, and stuff just went offline that wasn't supposed to go offline, and I got to find out why.
Okay.
And then the other thing is I got a call from my part-timer, and one of the cameras in City Hall finally gave up the ghost after almost 8 years.
Okay.
So that's the final one that gave up the ghost, and I don't have any more temporary. So I said, Kenny, we need to get that.
Yeah.
We have the cameras. They're sitting in the studio.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So I have the cameras ordered. We just need to put them up, and it's trying to find our schedules and stuff like that. So today is the day for that too. It's just like, ugh.
It's one of those
And
days.
Sadie Knox has become the bane of my existence.
Oh, what? How come?
So we're gonna put a home plate camera there so we
I
can have
know.
the softball field.
Right.
We got them all up, and then there's an electrical problem. Apparently, at some point during its life, the conduit broke
Oh, dear.
underneath the dirt. And the power, so one of the lines must have got scraped or whatever and is touching neutral. So we're getting 120 volts to the outlet, but it's not properly.
It's not like
It's
producing what it's supposed to be
right.
producing. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
there's that, and then we got a temporary hookup that I made a cable for, and so we tried to power everything up, and then the adapter that I bought, because they're different voltages on different devices, doesn't work.
Oh no. So
Then
do
I
you
order
think
another one?
Yeah, so you think that's actually the adapter? It's not.
Yeah, no, I tested
Yeah.
the adapter at home
Okay,
on a
and it
different.
doesn't work.
No
Okay.
dice. Yeah.
Okay. Not happening. Okay. Yeah,
like-
I know.
I felt bad because the electricians keep meeting me there, and they're like, "You opened up a whole can of worms, but good thing we
Yeah.
figured it out because we're going to fix it
Yes.
right." And,
Yep. Yep.
But in the meantime, these are all softball parents, and most of them,
Yeah.
like the 2 electricians, have kids that their daughters play on the Westfield High School team, which is
Right.
competing in states right now. So
Yeah.
trying to coordinate that schedule is fun
Yeah.
too. So
Yeah.
it's just been crazy.
Lots of baseball
I
stuff.
thought I was going to
going
get quiet after graduation.
Well, that's what I thought. I was like, okay, Pete and I are gonna not have anything to talk about because graduation is done, and all these things are done. But no, that's not the case. All right.
Nope, we got our back this week. Yeah, it's just going to be another busy week.
Another crazy week. All right, and for those of you who, I'm sure Bob Pless mentioned this yesterday during his show, but I was busy listening to him botch up where Kevin Coughlin works. So that was.
Yes, you're correct.
Yeah. But we do have, the Pride Committee does have a special program tonight that James Homan has been working on for at least 6 to 8 weeks. It's a panel discussion. He's got some folks coming in from all over the the state and talking about various life stages of the sort of gay pride movement. That's at the Renova building. You do have to pre-register for that because there's limited seating at the Renova building. But it should be very educational. I know the person who's coming to do the piece for sort of on older adults, James worked really hard at, and I've been like emailing him every other day going, have you gotten a final confirmation? Have you gotten a final confirmation? Because every time you have presenters, I know at the senior center too, or performers, I get nervous if I haven't heard from the person in a few weeks. It's
you
like,
do
okay,
with guests too,
yeah, right, with guests here too. It's like, okay, we are all on board, right? Everything's good. So hopefully that will go off without a hitch. We're all pretty excited about it.
What time does that start?
It starts at, I believe it's at 6 or 6:30, one or the other, because I know I have to be down there at 5:30. So it's either 6 or 6:30. I know
they're borrowing a Zoom camera, so if they need help, you know how to run that. So
yeah, hopefully I'll remember that. So yeah, and so Pete, I understand? Are you guys working on the or is Kai working on the flag raising piece? Good.
That's her project. Yep.
But she's been.
There was a problem with audio.
Okay.
So she's working on it.
Okay.
And I'm like, that grade's already closed. So I told Mr. Forney, I'm like, when you get the materials in, pull her out of class. If there's no more, if the grades are closed, I'm sure she can come out of academics. They're probably not doing anything.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
But it's got to get done.
Yep. Absolutely.
And I'm not going to do it. I don't have time.
Nope, and it's
not this week.
It's not your project. So
correct. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Very good. All right. Let's do a famous birthday. We've got a few. It is the birthday of the late Alois Alzheimer's. He was a scientist, neurologist, and psychiatrist. He was born on this day in 1864 in Germany. He died young. He was only 51 back on December 19th, 1915. In 1888, Alois Alzheimer's began his residency at the Hospital for the Mentally Ill and Epileptics in Frankfurt, Germany. That was the name of the hospital. His supervisor was a progressive psychiatrist who put no restraints on Alzheimer's work. He stayed there for 7 years, eventually being promoted to senior physician. During this time, Alzheimer studied psychiatry and his passion of neuropathology. In 1901, he met Augusta Dieter, and she was a 51-year-old woman with strange behavior symptoms and increasing short-term memory loss. Her condition rapidly deteriorated into severe dementia. The patient became an obsession for Alzheimer's, and he started doing many studies during the following years. 5 years later, in 1906, Augusta Dieter died. During an autopsy, Alzheimer discovered a number of pathological conditions, including shrinking of the cortex, so it's a part of the brain, and the presence of neurofibrillary tangles and neuritic plaques. The plaques and tangles were distinctive enough to warrant a diagnosis of senile dementia, which became known as Alzheimer's disease. Because Alzheimer's patient was relatively young, Alzheimer's disease was at first considered a disease of middle age. Similar symptoms in elderly people were simply regarded as a natural consequence of aging. You become old and senile. Today, this view has been discarded. Even octogenarians, people who are in their 80s, even in people in their 80s, severe mental confusion is a disease. It's not a natural decline. I used to preach this to my students all the time when I was teaching at Springfield College. Confusion, disorientation is not a natural consequence of aging. It means there's something else going on. Unfortunately, Alzheimer had little time to enjoy the burgeoning interest in his research. In 1913, while traveling to Breslau, Germany, to assume the role of the chair of the Department of Psychology at the Friedrich Wilhelm University, Alzheimer caught a severe cold, complicated by endocarditis, which is an inflammation around the heart sac, an infection of the heart lining. Alzheimer never fully recovered, passing away in 1915, again at the age of 51. Excuse me. While Alois Alzheimer is primarily remembered for his discovery of Alzheimer's disease, he also made several scientific contributions to other neurological subjects, including alcoholic delirium, schizophrenia, brain tumors, epilepsy, Huntington's disease, and Wilson's disease. So in his short life, if he was 51 and you figure he was doing research for probably about 30 of those years,
Yep.
excuse me, he was, he did a lot of brain research. So happy birthday to the late Alois Alzheimer. Okay, it is 6:17. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses and WCPC cable channel 15. Pete, we're all set up with the internet, and you can play my first song.
Yep.
This is in honor of Flag Day. So I wanted to play You're a Grand Old Flag, but I wanted to get a good version, and I found this version by the Mormon Tabernacle Choir. It's beautiful. We'll be back.
Support for community radio on WSKB is provided by Betts Plumbing and Heating Supply Company, an independent, family-owned wholesaler serving Westfield for over 50 years, specializing in plumbing, heating, and industrial piping supplies. On the web at bettsplumbing.com or at 14 Coleman Avenue in Westfield.
Hi, it's Bob Plass, and I have Wow, It's Tuesday, every Tuesday, 6 to 8. Wow, it's Tuesday.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
I did it!
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:20. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses and WCPC cable channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I'm in the studio this morning with the chairman of the board, Pete Coles. Good morning again, Pete.
Good morning.
So just to give people a little preview, second hour, we'll be joined by Joyce Peregrine. Joyce is the companion program coordinator over at the Council on Aging. So Joyce is going to be coming in second hour. She's going to be talking a little bit about the companion program and the clients that we serve, but we're also doing a massive volunteer recruitment effort. So we'll be talking a lot about the volunteers in the program, what they do, what Joyce looks for in volunteers, and see if we can, get some interest going over there. So that will be second hour. But first hour, I have like a ton of stuff. I've got all these, I have tons of announcements because there's a lot of stuff going on now. It's that time of the year. We live in New England, so, we break out of our shell when the weather gets nice because everybody was, kind of cooped up for the winter. So there's a lot happening, lots going on at Stanley Park, lots going on in the community, all kinds of things going on there. It is also, June is also Alzheimer's and Brain Awareness Month, and obviously because we just talked about the birthday of Alois Alzheimer. So we'll talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk a little bit about brain neurobics, which is really kind of a cool topic. So let me start with just a few announcements. Because
before you do that,
yes.
we got a new show today.
We do.
Chamber Chatter.
Oh, well,
back
we need to
with
talk
Amanda
about
Waterfield.
that. Well, I'm glad that you brought that up, Pete, because as I'm driving in, I do this every time I'm coming in, and I'm going, okay, what Wednesday of the month is it? Who follows me? And I'm thinking, second Wednesday of the month, usually it would be the Chamber. And I thought to myself, I don't know if they're ready for the show this month or if we have to wait
Amanda
till
was
next
a
month.
co-host with what's his name?
Bob, was it Bob Delisle? Who? No.
George Delisle.
George Delisle.
On Monday mornings. So
Yes.
she's done this before.
So this is not new to
But
her.
this is now her own show. So.
Good. Great. That's awesome.
So she'll be starting today.
Oh, that's fantastic because she really just started in the position, right? I mean,
Right.
as the
She's
new-
getting her feet wet. But
Yeah.
they told her this was part of it. So
Yeah.
I think she's got a chamber member. State Line Oil is coming in. State
That's
Line
wonderful.
Oil and Gas.
That's wonderful. I love it. Somebody who jumps right in there and gets right into it. So perfect.
Why not? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, why not? Perfect.
Right.
All right. So that will be, Chamber Chatter will follow at 8 o'clock. So that's great. And is that 1 hour, P, 8 to 9? Or?
That is correct. Yeah.
8 to 9. Okay. All right. So let's talk about a few announcements and some things that are happening throughout Westfield as well as at the Senior Center. I'm going to start with the Senior Center because it's, near and dear to my heart. So the Friends group, the Friends of the Westfield Senior Center is hosting a Jimmy Maz concert this Friday night. It's called Cruisin' Through the 50s Show. If you like 50s music, Jimmy Maz is fabulous. Tickets are still available. They are $10. You'll get the show, which starts at 6:15. So I promised everyone I will have you home before it gets dark. So if you don't drive at night, you don't have to worry about that. We'll have you home before it gets dark. And we're sending everyone home with a classic, i.e. large, ice cream sundae. So it'll just be a lot of fun. Jimmy is great. The ticket sales have really picked up this week. So if you like tickets, please come down to the Senior Center. We originally had a 2-ticket limit per person. We have lifted that. I just wanted to give my regulars kind of an opportunity, before we sell out, to get their tickets. And I feel like they've had their opportunity. So if you want to come down and get 4 tickets, 6 tickets, as long as we have them left, come on down.
Because the advertiser for that's running on Channel 12. So
Yes. And thank you for doing that, P. So
hey,
again,
you sent it to me as a graphic. That means I can get it up quick.
I know. You know what? I went back and I was like, "Where's that email that Pete sent to us?" Because it was back after we had a department head meeting on. If you want something
just
advertised, this is how. No, it was easy. I found it. I had it flagged. I found it. I was like, "Yep, I know I'm going to need this." So anyway, Jimmy Maz concert this Friday. We're really and all of the dads will go home with a little gift. We have a really nice little gift for all the fathers and father figures, just all the men. We just throw all the men in that category. Also, after Jimmy Maz is done performing, he will be the one to draw the winner of the month-long 50-50 fundraiser so that it ends on Friday. People have been madly getting tickets at the last minute because we told them you only have 2 days left to get your tickets for your 50-50 tickets. I think the pot is somewhere over, it's got to be around $800 at this point. So winner's taking home at least $400 is my guess.
Cool.
I have to figure it out. I have to add it up. I said to Sandra, get me the money that we have so far. Let me add it up. We have a thermometer bulb that we keep, upping the thing. So the tickets for the 50-50 are $1 a piece or 6 for $5. Come on down to the Senior Center. If you're coming through the lunch line, we'll sell them to you through the lunch line. I do want to remind folks, for my seniors, that there is no bingo this Friday because of the Jimmy Maz concert, because we're going to be setting up for that. There you go. Thanks, Pete. It's perfect. Absolutely. That looks great on screen, I have to say.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, so this Friday, so no bingo this Friday. Last Friday, we played Tina's birthday bingo. It was a riot. Everybody went home with a gift or a prize, and we had a blast. So that was that was my compensation. We played birthday bingo, Tina's birthday bingo last Friday, and so this Friday, there's no bingo. It will resume next week, though, not to worry. Let's see. What else do I have? Oh, yes. This is really important. So beginning Thursday, the 15th, tomorrow. Although I think the slots are filled. So we are starting Brad Moyer, attorney Brad Moyer, who's a local attorney. He's right on Broad Street. He approached me like literally probably 3 weeks before the pandemic hit. And he said, would you be interested in having me come over to the senior center, maybe like once a month, and do some legal consultations, just like, some guidance for people.
Sure.
Especially for some of those cases, it's like, do I need a lawyer for this? Or, where do I go or what do I do? So he's going to be providing some guidance for folks. So we're starting the program tomorrow. He's going to be with us on the third Thursday of the month in the morning from 10 to 12. I believe I think we just filled the fourth slot. So, but he'll be back again next month. And you do have to call and set up an appointment with us. We need to know your name, phone number, and just very briefly, what's your topic? I mean, is it housing? Is it a tenant-landlord issue? Is it a domestic thing? Whatever it is. Is it a, consumer issue? Just so that he knows. And he needs your name just so he can make sure he doesn't have a case that has anything to do with you and, there would be a conflict of interest. But anyway, that starts tomorrow, so we're pretty excited about that. And thank you to Brad Moyer. He has dubbed this. I said, do you have a name that you want to call it? And he said, sure, Moyer the Lawyer. So that's what we're calling it. So we got Moyer the Lawyer once a month.
That's funny.
The second floor renovation update, for those who are interested, we're working on our office suite. We are really coming down the home stretch. They will be putting the door frames in this week. I understand the doors to the offices are in, so those will be installed soon. The flooring is going in a week from Monday. And hopefully the furniture is scheduled to be delivered on the 30th, and I keep saying to the building folks, my Cornerstone building, it's like, okay, are we going to be ready for the furniture? Do I need to postpone it a week? And we just had a construction meeting, and they said, no, we're going to be ready for the furniture at the end of the month. So we're pretty excited about that, because the sooner that we can reopen the multi-purpose room, which we're currently using as a storage room, the sooner we can kind of get everything back up to where it belongs and get my staff all organized and where they belong. One more announcement before we do our 6:30 break. We have a very special program. It's an annual program that we run. It's sponsored by the Massachusetts Bar Association. Each year, the Mass Bar Association matches a senior center with a local attorney who is willing to go in and do a presentation at no charge to the senior center. It's an educational program. It's called the Elder Education Law Project. Elder Law Education Project. Sorry, I messed that up. Again, sponsored by the Mass Bar Association. This year, we have been assigned to attorney Hyman Darling. I am absolutely thrilled to get that assignment. He is so knowledgeable about elder law. Hyman Darling was doing elder law. He was like one of the pioneers in this area long before it was a thing, long before the baby boomers really started aging. And I think he had that vision of, at some point, this is going to be a really big deal, which it is. But here is the kicker of all this. So I was talking, we had our COA board meeting, our board of directors, the Council on Aging board of directors meets on the second Monday of the month. So we had our meeting on this past Monday. I was sitting next to Justice Graney, who is one of my board members. And I was making, the announcements of what's coming down the pike. And I said, we have Attorney Darling. And he said to me, he goes, do you know Attorney Darling? And I said, I do. He's presented one other time at the Senior Center, and I've gone to see him do other presentations. And Justice Graney said to me, well, he was a student of mine when I taught at when I taught law school. And he said he's very, very good. And I said, well, so there's a plug coming from Judge Graney. That's a big plug.
Sure.
So I purposely scheduled this program because I'm going back to something that Brent Bean, Counselor Bean, had asked me at my budget hearing last night about off-hour programming. I purposely scheduled this one for 6 o'clock in the evening So for seniors who are still working, for family members who are working but want to attend, this is open to the public. We are asking people to please just call us to sign up. We are getting a lot of phone calls, which is great. I want to fill that room. He is just so knowledgeable. So this will take place on Thursday, June 22nd at 6 p.m. And it just occurred to me, Pete, I should send you another graphic for this one as well. And we'll get this one on Channel 12. So I'll try to remember to do that when I get back to the center. So just give us a call at 562-6435 if you'd like to sign up. Again, it's Attorney Hyman Darling. His topic is elder law and estate planning, kind of like everything you should know.
Yeah.
It is a huge topic. I'm begging you, please get your affairs in order, because I can't tell you how hard it is for families if you haven't done that. Once you pass away, and it's whether it's your spouse or your kids, it's a mess.
We just found it out with my aunt.
Yep,
Getting her cremated took all, because she's the last.
Yep.
Took all of the families, the oldest or one of the kids from all the families, to sign off on her cremation.
Yeah. Yep.
And then, if we want to get buried in the plot, everybody's going to sign off on it.
Yep. Yep. And I know Jimmy Adams, when Jimmy was here and he did the Council on Aging Presents on burial planning and funeral planning, he went into all this as well. Jimmy was he was so helpful when my sister-in-law was so sick. And we were trying to plan, and Jimmy made some really good points, like we said, my husband had durable power of attorney, and Jim said, right. But when the second she passes, the durable power of attorney is out the window. So you need that beforehand, but then you need all this other stuff down the road. I mean, there's a lot involved.
Yep.
Sign up. Trust me, you won't be disappointed. And besides that, I have to tell you, for an attorney, on a subject that can be pretty dry, Hyman Darling is a great presenter. He's got a great sense of humor. He'll make it interesting. All right, it is 6:33. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield Masses and WCPC cable channel 15. In honor of the birthday of Alois Alzheimer's, we're going to listen to Aretha Franklin singing "Think." We'll be back.
You better think about what you're trying to do to me. Think, let your mind go, let yourself be free. Let's go way on, way back when. I didn't even know you couldn't have been too much more than 10. I ain't no psychiatrist, I ain't no doctor with degrees, but it don't take too much time to see what you're doing to me. You better think about what you're trying to do to me, yeah. Think, let your mind go, let yourself be free. Oh, freedom, freedom,
Underwriting support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Greater Westfield Chamber of Commerce, the voice of business for the Greater Westfield communities. Informing, educating, advocating, the Chamber provides opportunities for members to make meaningful connections on local, regional, and state levels. For more information on the Chamber's many events, workshops, and programs, as well as the benefits of membership, visit westfieldbiz.org. The Chamber focuses on the most important economy, yours.
Join us every Thursday morning.
From 6 until at least 7:30.
Check out the Bobby G and Company Show.
Right here on WSKB 89.5.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 at 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:36. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses and WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I'm in the studio this morning with the chairman of the board, Pete Coles. Good morning again, Pete.
Good morning.
So, I'm looking around, and we talked about how quiet it was going to be next week, but right now it's really quiet.
Some dribs and
usually,
drabs.
Yeah, I mean, usually by now, people are staff and so forth are starting to come
They
in.
roll in late when it comes to the last week.
I know, yeah.
On the mark today is Superintendent Zaporowski.
He is.
And Alexi Cohen, who's a reporter for WGBH.
Okay. Do
Yep.
we know what
She's local.
the topic is?
No, this is on the mark.
Okay.
He kind of interviews
Okay.
guests that are of interest to
Oh,
him.
okay. Oh.
So Zap doesn't get always a chance to talk about stuff that he wants to talk about when
Yeah.
he's playing host.
Right.
So different shows invite him on at different times to talk
Nice.
about what's going on. I think he's talking about summer in the school department.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
And Alexi Cohen's talking about her career, and I think Mark did some mentoring for her early on in her career. So
Nice.
she's working for GBH in Boston now.
Nice. That's great. I just find I'm finding this programming that you're doing, Pete. I mean, you're in charge of all this stuff. It's so interesting. Like I've been listening to when I've been exercising, I do it in segments, but I've been listening to the June edition of the Westfield Council on Aging Presents, and Harry Rock had interviewed Jess Holden from Westfield State University, the nurse. She's director of nursing there, and then Sarah Warren and Heather, and they're working on that opioid project with funding through Senator Vilas. I mean, there are all these pieces that come together. So we've got Bay State Noble Hospital and the emergency department. We've got the college involved. We've got the senator involved. We have Harry Rock doing the interviewing on this program. I mean, it's really interesting to hear their take on how that money is being spent and what's happening with that program. And I just find, I find now when I'm in the car, especially in the morning, I'm turning on 89.5 FM, and it's like, okay, what show? Which show is it? Who's being interviewed?
Right.
Just like a lot of really good stuff.
Yeah, and I've talked to Mark. I'm gonna send an email up to Berkshire Theater, but I might become a first-time reviewer of a stage show, play.
Wow.
So
That's
they're
pretty
having
neat.
$1 Million Quartet with the cast that I saw it in the Unicorn years ago.
I saw it at the Majestic, and it was fabulous.
Right. Well, this is a cast of Broadway actors that are doing it. So
I can't even imagine. I thought it was great when I saw it.
right.
So
It's
this
at
is
the
going to be
Colonial
unbelievable.
coming up at the end of the month through
Nice.
it's like a 2.5-week run, I think, at the Colonial.
Nice.
So I've seen it in a very small, intimate theater.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to see it on a big stage. So I'm gonna do a review on it and compare and contrast.
Nice.
It's just basically the same cast. So
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That should be a lot of fun.
well, it'll be different for
pretty
me
cool.
because I've never been
Yeah.
on. I'm kind of an on-air talent, but I'm not
Yeah.
an on-air talent.
Yep.
And I've never been a review. I started writing a review on what I remember from the last performance I saw. So
Okay.
I've already started writing my review.
Yeah.
But I just have to email them and see if they'll approve it. So
Pretty cool.
I'll
All
be going to
right.
the press opening night.
You go, Pete. That is really kind of fun.
Yeah,
See,
it'd
there
be-
are all these things that you didn't, when you think about it, it's like, well, somebody's got to do it.
I keep trying to tell these kids, I'm like, guys, if you start a sports show, trying to tell Al Rogers, if you guys start a sports show and you come up with a good sports show, you market that to the Red Sox and the Celtics, and you'll probably get tickets. Hello,
Sure.
You're a high school sports show. That's unique.
Yes. Yeah. Agreed.
Can't get them out of the starting block.
All
I'm like,
right. All right. Well, speaking
I'm
of
trying. I'm like, you guys want to go to the press box at
right.
at Foxborough Stadium?
Yeah, can you imagine?
Put in the work and send them tapes and go, hey, we've been doing this for a while. We'd like the credentials. They'll go, okay.
You'd be surprised. You would be surprised.
It's like, I haven't done this before. I got presidential press credentials when I was in high school
Yeah.
because I worked down there
Yep.
and I busted my butt.
Yep.
And the Secret Service called my aunt and former school teachers and approved me.
Yeah.
So,
it's just you never know until you try. And it just
I covered
as
3
you
presidents before I was in college.
Yep, put the work in. do it. And we talked about, I had so much fun watching the replay of the show that we did last week with Dan Knappich. I could just, I just wish I could just like co-host with him again. It was so fun. But he was talking about at the end of the show, Pete, about hiring, and you kind of chimed in, and he said he really, wants to get away from all of the licenses and, 1,000 different degrees, because you really narrow down the pool of candidates who may be very qualified. And what did he say? 90% of working today is just showing up.
Yeah.
And it's
true. I got to ask somebody for a resignation, one of my part-timers.
Yeah.
No call, no show.
Yeah. It's like.
For graduation.
How do you do that?
And I told her way in advance. And she's like, yep, I'll be there.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not going to come hunt you down.
Yeah. That is like one of my, I think I haven't had to fire very many people in my career, but one of the ones that I did, it was many, many years ago, way before I started working for the city. It was the same thing. It's like I hired her. She worked for like a week, and it was in the summer, and I had been scheduled to be away for a week. And I had said that when I hired her. I'm like, she was a social worker. And I said to her, okay, I'm telling you right now, so we'll do the orientation. But I said, you should be okay. And there were there were 4 social workers. So, I was, department head or whatever. But there were other workers around. It wasn't like I was throwing her to the wolves. And I said, any problems or questions? So I get back a week later, and I said to one of my seasoned social workers, how did she do? And she said, she wasn't here. I said, well, what do you mean she wasn't here? Same thing, Pete. It was like, no show. She had worked for me for a week.
Yeah.
And, she was there the day that I came back. And I was like, well, where are you? Well, my car, my baby, my this, my that. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Right.
So, yeah.
Apparently you don't want the job.
That lasted, not very long.
Yeah.
Clearly. But.
And I feel bad because I really like this person.
Yeah.
But
it's not a personal. That's the same thing
you gotta
with this.
show up when
she was a nice person, but it's like,
I'm not chasing after you when you commit to do something, especially when I need you.
You need the job done.
Right.
Yep. You need the job done. If we have people working for us, in the end, and I always tell, my staff, it's like the buck stops with me. I'm responsible for my staff members. So if I assure the mayor or whomever, city councilor, that such and such is going to happen, that's why you work really hard when you hire people to get people that you trust, because
I have my part-timers check in with me
an
hour before, saying that they're there or they're going to be there.
Yeah. Well, I think
because otherwise I got to drop everything I'm doing and go down there
yourself. I think, Pete, for you it's especially difficult because for me, for the most part, we're all working in one building, But for you, it's like somebody's covering something on the other side of the city. Well, you're not there to see. Are you here? Are you where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there? So yeah, that is challenging.
Yep.
That can be quite challenging.
Yep.
All right, folks, we were Pete, you were mentioning before sports, so I want to sneak this in before we take our next break. Today is the birthday of the late Pat Summitt. Pat Summitt was a college basketball coach. For any of you who follow women's basketball, you already know who she is. You talk about a pioneer in women's sports. In my mind,
to meet her.
You got to meet Pat Summitt
with Jim Klein, for that story on Rebecca Lobo.
Oh my God, that's right.
And we went to that game where they were playing her team.
Well, she coached for the University of Tennessee, but let's do a little bit of how. I really have to spend a few minutes here. So she was born on this date in 1952 in Clarksville, Tennessee, which is a small town in Tennessee. She died at the age of 64. She was young when she died. It was 2016, June 28th, 2016. And it's what's ironic about the fact that today is Pat Summitt's birthday. It is also the birthday of Alois Alzheimer's. Right. She had early onset Alzheimer's.
Exactly. Yep.
Pat Summitt was an American women's college basketball head coach who accrued 1,098 career wins, the most in college basketball history at the time of her retirement. She served as the head coach of the University of Tennessee Lady Vols basketball team from 1974 to 2012. Summitt won a silver medal herself. She was on the team at the 1976 Summer Olympics in Montreal as a member of the United States women's national basketball team. She returned to the Olympics in 1984 as head coach, guiding the U.S. women's basketball team to a gold medal. Summitt won 8 NCAA Division I basketball championships. In 38 years as coach of the Tennessee Lady Volunteers, she never missed the NCAA tournament, nor did she ever have a losing season. I think her losses were like 200 and something, so like over 1,000 wins and like roughly 200 losses, which is pretty amazing.
Yep.
Summit was inducted into the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame in 1999 as a member of its inaugural class. She was named the Naismith Basketball Coach of the Century in the year 2000. In 2009, the Sporting News placed her at number 11 on its list of the 50 greatest coaches of all time in all sports. She was the only woman on the list. In 2012, Pat Summitt was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom by President Barack Obama and received the Arthur Ashe Courage Award at the 2012 ESPY Awards. Summitt retired from coaching at the age of 59 following a diagnosis of early onset Alzheimer's disease. And she was just an amazing person. Now, of course, if you're a UConn fan, like I'm a UConn fan, she had this rivalry with Gino Auriemma forever. But
and they were also really good friends.
They were good friends and very respectful of the places. You know, they're both really icons in women's basketball. So a few years ago for Christmas, I asked my family, I think Gary got me this, I asked for this as a Christmas present. It's a book by Pat Summitt with Sally Jenkins, who co-wrote it. It's called Sum It Up. It's an autobiography. It is so fascinating. I mean, I had a healthy respect for her for what she had done. But after I read this book, and it talks about her life growing up. She had three brothers, and they lived on a farm. And she learned to play basketball from her brothers. Their father built like a basketball court on the second floor of the barn. So they would go up there only at night. They had to do all their farming chores.
Yep.
And she would play 2-on-2 with her brothers. And that's how she got to be so tough, because she played that's all she knew. Her high school did not have a basketball team. It was such a small school. Her father actually moved the house across the county so that she could go to a school where she could play basketball. But what really interested me about this story is what women's basketball was when she first started coaching compared to what the men were getting. And boy, you talk about inequality. I mean, they had nothing. They had no accommodations. They didn't have uniforms. They didn't have transportation. Like, they were trying to travel all over. She had some beat up old station wagon. They didn't have, their hotel. I mean, they were like in the, hotel motel kind of thing, where you were paying $15 a night. It was no food allowances. The parents had to provide everything. It was unbelievable what she did for women's sports. So if you have a chance, I'm actually going to put this book in the Senior Center Fireside Lounge library. So it'll be there. It was just a great read. Okay. So on that note, let's take a break. It is 6:49. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield Masses and WCPC cable channel 15. And in honor of the birthday of Pat Summitt, who was born, raised, and coached in Tennessee, we're going to listen to Conway Twitty singing Rocky Top, Tennessee. We'll be back.
Wish that I was on old Rocky Top down in the Tennessee hills. Ain't no smoggy smoke up on Rocky Top, ain't no telephone bill. Once I had a girl on old Rocky Top, half bear, the other half cat. Wild as a mink, but sweet as soda pop, I still dream about that. Rocky Top, you'll always be home sweet home to me. Good old Rocky Top, Tennessee. Rocky Top, Tennessee. Once two strangers climbed old Rocky Top looking for moonshine still. Strangers ain't come down from old Rocky Top, reckon they never will. Corn won't grow at all on Rocky Top, dirt's too rocky by far. That's why all the folks on Rocky Top get their corn from a jar. Rocky Top, you'll always be home sweet home to me. Good old Rocky Top, Rocky Top, Tennessee. Rocky Top, Tennessee. Rocky Top, you'll always be home sweet home to me. Good old Rocky Top, Tennessee. Rocky Top, Tennessee. Rocky Top, Tennessee.
Underwriting for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Westfield, serving the youth of the Whip City and surrounding communities since 1969. For more information on the Great Futures Club for ages 3 to 5, happening weekdays, and the Club Teen Center for ages 11 and older, weekdays from 6:30 till 8 p.m., go online at bcgwestfield.org or visit the club at 28 West Silver Street. The Boys and Girls Club of Greater Westfield. Great futures start here.
Listen to me, Michael Buster McMahon, Mondays 8 to 10 a.m. to learn the stories behind your favorite songs. Or don't. I'm not the boss of you.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 at 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:53. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield Masses and WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I'm in the studio this morning with the chairman of the board, producer Pete Coles. Good morning again, Pete.
Good morning.
So now that everyone's wide awake because we've listened to Rocky Top, we've listened to Your Grand Old Flag, we've listened to Think. We've had some really like wake up kind of songs here, so all good. Today is the birthday of the late Harriet Beecher Stowe, author and philanthropist. She was born on this date in 1811, and she was born and died in Connecticut. So I had to throw Harriet Beecher Stowe in here. She was born in Litchfield, and she died in Hartford. She died on July 1st, 1896. She was one of 13 children born to religious leader Lyman Beecher and his wife, Roxana Foote Beecher, who died when Harriet was just a child. Lyman Beecher took a strong abolitionist stance following the pro-slavery Cincinnati riots of 1836. His attitude reinforced the abolitionist beliefs of his children, including Harriet. Stowe found like-minded friends in a local literary association. She formed a friendship with fellow member and seminary teacher Calvin Ellis Stowe. They married and moved to a cottage near in Brunswick, Maine, close to Bowdoin College. Along with their interest in literature, Harriet and Calvin Stowe shared a strong belief in abolition. In 1850, Congress passed the Fugitive Slave Law, prompting distress in abolitionists and free black communities of the North. Stowe expressed her feelings through a literary representation of slavery. In 1851, the first installment of Stowe's novel, Uncle Tom's Cabin, appeared in the Natural Era. Uncle Tom's Cabin was published as a book the following year and quickly became a bestseller. Stowe's emotional portrayal of the impact of slavery, particularly on families and children, captured the nation's attention. Embraced in the North, the book and its author aroused hostility in the South. Landmarks dedicated to the life, work, and memory of Harriet Beecher Stowe exist across the eastern United States. The Harriet Beecher Stowe House in Brunswick, Maine, is where Stowe lived when she wrote Uncle Tom's Cabin. The Harriet Beecher Stowe House in Hartford, Connecticut, preserved the home where Stowe lived for the final decades of her life. The home is now a museum featuring items owned by Stowe as well as a research library. The home of Stowe's next-door neighbor, Samuel Clemens, better known as Mark Twain, is also open to the public. So that's a twofer, and if you haven't done it, it's worth your while to go down and visit both of those. I did that when I was over in Springfield College. I was director of the Learning and Later Life program. So we took a field trip down to Hartford. We went to the art museum down there, and we saw both the Harry Beecher Stowe home and the Mark Twain house. So it was, you know what?
Cool, yeah.
Sometimes you forget what's right in your own backyard, and I'm sure there are people going, oh, I didn't even realize that was there. Never mind, never having done it. All right, folks, so let's do some community announcements because there's a lot happening in Westfield right now. I didn't make this announcement last week because I didn't realize it was going to start last week, but the farmers market is back, and it did start last Thursday.
I think Harry is one of the first music performers there.
Yes, I believe that you are right. And, interestingly, they sent me the newsletter on Wednesday afternoon kind of announcing, well, here's our newsletter, and the farmers market starts tomorrow. So I quickly sent them an email back saying, if you get me the newsletter on Tuesday, then I can announce it on my cable show. But Wednesday is too late. My show's
Correct,
over.
yep.
I did it in the morning. So thank you to Lisa, who got me the newsletter yesterday. And so the farmers market is open noon to 5 o'clock every Thursday, starting last weekend. It'll go through the middle of October. It's on the grounds of the Church of the Atonement, which is right on Court Street. It's kind of across the street and down about a block from City Hall. The parking is behind the church, and please make sure that you park in the appropriate place. I know we have a lot of walkers. We have a lot of people in the downtown area that just walk over there, which is great. But if you do drive, park in the church parking lot. Please do not park next door in the Arbor's parking lot because they will quickly run out of spaces. They don't have a lot of spaces over there. So parking is behind the church. And I printed off some of the frequently asked questions because I thought this would be a good way to kind of, set the tone for this segue. So one of the questions that they get asked a lot is, are the same vendors there every week? And so the answer to that is the market has approximately 20 full season vendors who are present most Thursdays. And then they have 20 partial season vendors who have varying schedules because depending on what they're selling, if there are certain crops that are, only come out like in July
season, yeah.
or, only come out in September, that's when they're there. So they do have, they do have a newsletter. They do have a website, so you can check that out. You can sign up for their weekly newsletter, and then in the newsletter, you find out like which vendors are going to be there that week, so you would know. Can I use my credit or debit card at the market? And the answer is no cash, no problem. So yes, you can. Several vendors at the market use Square and are able to accept credit and debit card payments directly. The market tent, they have kind of like a customer service tent, can also process cards in exchange for market tokens, which work as cash. There is a $1 fee for transactions up to $30 and a $2 fee for transactions $31 and over. So yes, you don't necessarily have to, use cash. Does the market accept SNAP benefits? And all you viewers, if you're avid viewers and you watch Wake Up Wednesday or listen to Wake Up Wednesday every week, you'll remember that Lynn Hills, our senior benefits coordinator, was on several months ago and said, yes, indeed, they do accept SNAP benefits. Now, remember, if you're going to use your SNAP card, it's only for produce. You can't buy, because they, some of the vendors do
Stuff
like
that doesn't-
crafts
yeah.
and things like that. They're nice, but
There's
you can't
wine,
use yours.
you
Right,
can't
exactly.
buy wine with it.
Exactly. So yes, the market can swipe your SNAP card in exchange for market tokens. There's no fee for this service. The market also offers a matching program for SNAP customers. For each SNAP dollar, the market will provide $1 in matching funds up to $10 per market week. So if you have SNAP benefits, go see them at the tent and they can explain. But yes, you can use your SNAP card. Does Westfield Market, I didn't know this. I thought this was a great idea. Does the Westfield Farmers Market have gift certificates? And they do. They're available in the amount of $10 and can be purchased at the market tent. Gift certificates can be redeemed for market tokens at the market tent. We give out gift cards for like our our bingo, and I thought that would be a great gift for like a coverall. If you win the coverall, you get a $10 gift card to the farmers market.
There you go.
So I'm all about that. I got to go get some gift certificates. I think that's a great idea. Does the market have bathrooms? Of course, we have a lot of older people, and we know. So yes, there is a fully accessible bathroom available inside the Episcopal Church of the Atonement, and we just ask that users respect the church's building. So please keep the bathroom clean and sanitary for everyone. But yes, there are facilities available. And lastly, can I bring my pet to the market? Pets are not permitted within the market grounds. Service animals are allowed as per ADA accommodations. Thank you for your understanding. We have had this discussion. Every senior center director out there has had this discussion. There is a difference, folks, between a pet and a service animal. Service animal is trained to assist someone who has some type of a disability with that disability. They've gotten special training. If you love your animal, that's great, but that's a pet. That's not necessarily a service animal. So service animals, yes. Pets, no at the farmer's market. All right, it is 7:02. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield Masses and WCPC cable channel 15. We'll be back after our top of the hour break.
Underwriting is brought to you by Boise Cascade Distribution, providing products and services needed for building material dealers, home improvement centers, and industrial customers. They offer everything from engineered wood and plywood to Drex decking and railing, James Hardie siding, and Advantech subfloor. Located at 33 Fowler Street Extension in Westfield and on the web at bc.com, they are committed to providing quality products, great service, convenience, and value.
I'm Mark Auerbach. Join me every Friday at 8 a.m. for ArtSpeak, where you'll meet interesting actors, directors, designers, and musicians here in Western New England. Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 7:05. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses and WCPC cable channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I'm in the studio this morning with the chairman of the board, Pete Coles. Good morning again, Pete.
Good morning.
Okay, so we have lots more announcements going on here before we bring our guest on in about 10 minutes or so. First of all, today is the brown bag food distribution program at the Senior Center. So for all of those of you who receive a brown bag, just remember that pickup time is between 9 and 9:30. You have that half-hour window. We were so ecstatic because, normally the students from the Allied Health Department here at Westfield Technical Academy help us out with both bagging the food, which was yesterday because it got delivered yesterday, and then distributing the food, which is the Wednesday after we bag it. We didn't think we were going to have the help because we're so close to the end of the school year, but boy, they came. Yesterday, we were so glad to see them. They will be here this morning, so I may not even have to go out and help out if we haven't. It all depends on how many students can come over. So thank you so much to all of the students from Westfield Technical Academy and the Allied Health Department who have helped us out this year. They have just been great. It's saved so much time, on the part of the staff. They've been great. And, when they're not there, the seniors really miss them. A couple times during the year, they haven't been able to do the distribution. They've done the bagging, but, other things have been going on at school and they weren't allowed to.
Yep.
And, the seniors are asking, well, where are the students? What? They really enjoy seeing those young people. So thank you to that. So that's this morning. Next week, a week from today at 8:45 to 9:15, we're doing signups for our summer fitness classes. So I'm letting you know that the summer schedule is at the greeter's desk. Make sure that you get a copy. And just to remind folks, Carol Palmer will only be teaching one section of the Totally Fun Fitness class. She has a lot of people that leave for the summer. They go to Maine or wherever they go. And we've bumped up the room capacity a little bit. So we should be able to accommodate everybody. But get the schedule if you're interested in signing up. Get the schedule so that you have it, and then we'll be starting signups a week from today. Lots going on at Stanley Park. I mean, things are bumping over at the park. So they have reinstituted their walk around the park on Thursday mornings, and that goes through the end of this month from 9:30 to 10:30. I think they meet kind of at the Rose Garden, Carillon area. And there's usually somebody from the park that will do, it's kind of a bit of a walk educational program at the same time. Always a good time at the park. The Sunday night concerts are also back, and I feel really badly because they've already had two. They snuck up on me, and I didn't realize it. Well, last week, I did have it on my agenda, but, Dan Knappig and I were just going at it, and so some of the announcements went by the wayside. This Sunday, the group is Good Acoustics. This is comprised of Western Mass natives Mike Smith, Dave Fazio, and Bill DeSanti. It's a rock-solid trio of seasoned musicians with the versatility to perform everything from vocal favorites by the Eagles and America to hard-driving tunes by Journey, Bruce Springsteen, and the Steve Miller Band. They also throw in some pop, country, reggae, Motown, oldies, rap, and even a few Irish pub tunes for good measure. That's about as broad a spectrum as you're ever going to get, folks. So that is Good Acoustics playing this Sunday, which is Father's Day. And it's free. Remember, it's free, guys. The concerts are 6 to 8 p.m. in the Beverage Pavilion. They're free to the public. In case of inclement weather, check our Facebook page or the Stanley Park website, or you can call for event confirmation at 568-9312. Food services are provided by the Greater Westfield Western Hampden County MRC and the Greater Westfield CERT. And Pete always has to remind me of what CERT stands for because I can't remember.
Community Emergency Response Team.
Thank you. And
it's either community or citizen. One
Yep.
of the two.
And chairs are available, so you don't even you can bring if you want to sit more on the lawn and not under the pavilion, you'll still hear it, and people bring their lawn chairs. So that's going on in the park. This Saturday, June 17th, accessible bird walk in the gardens with Martha Kane. It's from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. This bird walk is designed for people who love to watch birds but need an accessible path to walk on or roll their wheelchairs. They will use accessible trails through the gardens to look for birds. If you have binoculars, bring them along, please. This workshop will meet at the restrooms near the Woodland Wildflower Garden Park. You want to park in the big parking lot near the Carillon Tower. So, and then soon enough, in early July, we're going to start the children's concert series. That's the Friday morning concert series. That will have to wait until next month. So there you go. All right, that is that. So I've done all of that. What else do I have? I have that. And
Your
I had
guest
one
is
more.
here.
My guest is here. Perfect. Perfect timing. So we're going to take a break. It is 7:11. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield Masses and WCPC cable channel 15. We're going to let my guest get settled in here, and we're going to listen to, this is in honor of the birthday of Harriet Beecher Stowe, who was a staunch abolitionist. We're going to listen to Joan Baez singing I Shall Be Released. We'll be back.
They say everything can be replaced. They say every distance is not near. And I remember every face of every man who put me here. I see my light come shining from the west down to the east. Any day now, I shall be released. They say every man needs protection. They say that every man must fall. And I swear I see my reflection somewhere so high above this wall. I see my light come shining from the west down to the east. Any day now, I shall be released. Well, yonder stands a man in this lonely crowd, a man who swears he's not to blame. All day long I hear him shouting so loud, keeps crying out that he was framed. I see my light come shining from the west down to the east. Any day now, we shall be released.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Barnes and Noble College Bookstore in the Ely Campus Center, offering Westfield State t-shirts, sweatshirts, and gift merchandise, all of your academic needs, and offering textbook materials in new, used, ebook, and rental formats. Available at the bookstore on campus or online at westfieldstate.bncollege.edu.
This is Ken Stomsky from Ken's Den on WCPC 15 and 89.5 FM, Tuesdays, 8 to 10.
Community Radio 89.5 WSKB.
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 7:16. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM, radio for the Westfield masses, and WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I'm in the studio this morning not only with the chairman of the board, Pete Coles, but we have been joined by Joyce Peregrine, who is the companion program coordinator at the Westfield Council on Aging. Good morning, Joyce.
Good morning.
Joyce is just coming back after having a few days away with the grandchildren, so she's
tired.
She's she's probably beyond tired. As she said before when we were off air, it's like you forget how exhausting this is. Three you were watching.
So
right? Yeah, three.
outnumbered.
And how many? And what's the high and low on the ages?
So Hazel is 2, William is 5, and Olivia is 7. But we had dance, we had soccer, we had construction site soccer. So yeah, tired.
Oh, yeah.
And ice cream trucks.
Okay.
How many ice creams can you eat in a day?
But good times,
Yeah,
Joyce.
great time.
You wouldn't
Great
trade it
time.
for anything.
I would not.
All right. So Joyce is our companion program coordinator. So we're going to talk a little bit about the companion program. I've already said last hour we are recruiting volunteers, so that is going to be the focus of that. But before we do all that, and I know, Joyce, you've been on before, and you're not new to or the cable show or the radio, but still we have some viewers and listeners who are not familiar with your background, and not everybody knows that you haven't always worked at the senior center.
Right.
So talk to us a little bit about your educational background and your professional background, and sort of how you ended up where you are.
Absolutely. So we actually moved to Westfield in 1969. I graduated from Westfield High School. I attended Holyoke Community College, UMass, and when our youngest was 3 years old, I went back to college, Westfield State, in communications, because at that point, computers didn't exist when I was in college.
You and me both, girlfriend.
Yep. Yeah. So I knew that if I wanted to be competitive, I needed to upgrade my computer skills. That's why I'm kind of the Council on Aging techie.
She is. She's the techie, and she's like the queen of the spreadsheets.
I am. I love spreadsheets. Who doesn't? What's wrong with you?
I like to look at them, but I really can't make them myself. But I'm really great at, like, give me a spreadsheet and let me look it over.
Yeah.
So Joyce is our spreadsheet guru.
So I was hired at the Westfield Athenaeum in 1995.
Okay.
And I had a great career there, a lot of promotions, really and truly enjoyed working with the public. And one of the things I'm most proud of was creating the outreach librarian position.
Yeah.
And that was homebound delivery. And my segue into working with older adults that were homebound. Yeah. And not just older adults, but, people who needed our services temporarily. I had a mom who had been in a car accident, broke her legs, and had 3 little children at home. So I was able to play children's librarian with that family, and it was very rewarding. But anyways, working with the older population, I really and truly found my niche and really enjoyed it. When I was as tired, as my grandson likes to say, but retired from the Westfield Athenaeum, lo and behold, there was a great opportunity at the Westfield Council on Aging. So you hired me.
I did,
and
happily hired you.
Yeah,
we just need to digress for 1 minute. Let's talk about this. So if a lot of people will remember Fran Aguda.
Absolutely.
Fran was the first of the, companion program coordinators. But Fran's job over the years, she was with the Senior Center, the Council on Aging, for over 20 years, and her job had really expanded. So she was really doing both the companion program, but she was also doing outreach and sort of, crisis intervention and you name it, everything, any kind of social work that could kind of get thrown in there. Right, 2 jobs. So when Fran came to me, and it was a planned retirement, we were planning this for about a year, and we talked about the fact that those jobs needed to be separated. That crisis intervention outreach piece, that was a full-time job in and of itself, and we would take the companion program piece of it And that would be a part-time job, and that would be completely separate. And so if the companion program coordinator, got a referral on a case that was just way more involved than just putting a companion in there, then we would involve the outreach coordinator. So that was kind of that, and that's where we went. That was back in 2018. So we were in the process of hiring for this position, for the companion program coordinator position. And, it's as is typical with the department heads, you meet with the personnel people on a regular basis to say, okay, what resumes have come in, applications, and we're reviewing all this stuff. So I was in there because at the time I was hiring a bunch of people because we were just opening the new senior center, or had just opened it a few years earlier. So there was a lot of transition going on. So I was in there and they said, oh, here's your pile of applications for the companion program coordinator. And I said, oh, okay. And they'd been coming in dribs and drabs. And, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this person, this would merit an interview. And so I'm going through this whole big pile. And, I'm kind of, okay. And all of a sudden, yours was the last one on the bottom of the pile. And I don't know how that happened. It just, when they had them by, I don't know whether it was alphabetical order or the date they came in or whatever. I can remember standing there going, stop the printing presses. I said, stop right here. I have found my person. It's like, what do you mean? I said, you haven't done the interview yet. Well, I had actually already started interviewing. I said, oh my God, well, we're getting her in for an interview. And it was yours. And because I know, I said, she's already done this, only, on the library side of it.
Right.
I said, get her in here. Get her in here for an interview.
And we had an opportunity to work together.
We had worked together. That was the other thing.
Yeah,
yes,
I had been
doing
under the construction at the Westwood Athenaeum. I've been doing satellite programs at the senior center. So I had a really good taste of what it would be like to be in a senior center setting.
Yes.
It's funny, when I was hired for the position, my sister asked me if I was going to be doing crafts.
Because I'm surprised.
I don't do crafts.
Yeah. And I'm surprised she didn't ask you if you were going to call bingo or plan trips, because, that's what we do. But, it's funny. I forgot about that, Joyce. And I remember one of the things about you when you were using the senior center kind of as a satellite when they were doing a lot of construction at the Athenaeum was, and what impressed me the most, and this guy kind of goes back to an interview that I had done last week with Dan Knappich, was when you said, I will do something, you did it. So, Pete and I were just talking about that earlier today. It's like, I always get nervous if I'm going to have a presenter or performer. Like, I feel like I need to confirm about 87 times. Now, you're sure you're coming and you're really going to be, because, and as Pete said, or guests on the show, like I'm confirming the night before, okay, everything's good. Now, obviously people get sick. That can't be helped. Right. But, you have cases where people just decide, well, they'll just blow you off. Or, oh yeah, I completely forgot about that. Was I supposed to be there at that time? If you said you were going to do something, you did it. And that impressed me so much. It's like, I didn't have to worry, because I remember saying, okay, we can set up the chairs and we can get this ready. And you said, no. I have volunteers. We'll come over. We'll do all that ahead of time. We'll be there half an hour early. And I remember the first time thinking, and I said to Mary Lou, it's like, all right, we got plan B in case, this doesn't happen. Oh no, you were there with the volunteers doing whatever you said you were going to do.
Yeah, and it was great. It was so well received over at the senior center.
It was.
Yeah, and it was wonderful to work there, have that opportunity to be exposed to that group too, especially promoting the outreach program.
Yeah.
At that point, I was the public service librarian, so I really wasn't doing a lot of outreach at that time, and I really was missing it. So yeah, that's part of being professional, right? So you take that responsibility seriously.
Right, absolutely. Yeah. So you got the job
at the
senior center. So talk a bit about that a little bit. Was it what you expected?
No, not at all. Not at all.
It never is.
Not at all. So
how was it not what you expected, or how was it different? What did you learn that you thought, oh my God?
So I had
coordinated.
What did I
get myself into?
Right, and yeah, the first 2 weeks I did wonder exactly what I got myself into because I always thought that when I retired I'd probably be like a greeter at Walmart. So very different. Mm-hmm. So I was coordinating volunteers. That was really the gist of the job, and that is the program.
Yep.
However, there were so many other elements involved in it, and a real learning curve for me thankfully, with a little bit of the OCD I have, I'm a very organized person. And not only that, but I was coming into a position that Fran Aguda had done for 20 years.
Yeah.
And she had her own style and method of doing things, as did her volunteers have a way of dealing with her.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
a couple times I reached out to her and said, so when I get all these stats, where do you get them from? And she goes, oh, well, I just know.
Exactly. It's like asking somebody for a recipe. Well, can I have the
just-
recipe for what's in my head?
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
in my head.
A little bit of this, a
Exactly.
little bit of that. That's
Exactly.
how Fran operated.
But you know what? I understand exactly what she means because I know where all my volunteers are. I know who they're with. I know their personalities. I know their schedules. I know some of my volunteers have, aerobics on Mondays and Wednesdays from 8 to 10.
And they get their hair done twice a week or
That's
once a week
right.
or whatever it is.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, exactly.
I don't ask them on those specific days. So I understand I just know. But again, leading back to being a little more computer savvy,
Yes, yeah.
I saw the need to get things organized, spreadsheets.
Yes,
That's my first thing. And it really learning to manipulate the My Senior Center, which is the software program that we use at the Senior Center. So a lot of transitions for me and learning, but I was up for it and I had a great time, and then COVID hit.
Yes. Oh my, that's right. And then COVID. And COVID
We had a
hit.
year.
It was like did you start in 2018, Joyce?
The year before.
Yeah.
So we were there a year, Joanne Ortegas, the outreach
Yes,
coordinator.
yep.
And I were there for 14 months.
Were you there? You were there before Joanne, right? Just
2
like
weeks.
by just
Yeah,
a couple weeks. I mean,
maybe, yeah.
that's what I said. I was doing all this hiring because Fran was leaving. We were changing things around at the front desk. I was pulling Sandra out of the kitchen to put her at the front desk.
There
and
were
get a new
5 of
kitchen
us
person.
that came
yeah,
in.
like all at the same time, and including maintenance too. Alex started.
Alex.
Yeah, it was like that's why I felt like I
George.
spent half my life in the personnel department going through stacks of applications. And when you've got that many positions open at one time and you're trying to find just the right mix and blend, man, when I saw your application, I'm like, oh, great. Okay. I know her. She's going to be fabulous. I mean, unless there's somebody else that wows me and knocks my socks off,
That has been
this
doing
is my
this, yeah.
person. So, yeah.
So, no, I was really excited too.
Good.
And I mean, here we are 5 years later.
I know.
Almost 5 years later.
So, yeah. So let's talk about what the companion program is. Let's
Absolutely.
start there.
So one of the things, as you said with Fran Aguda, as we've aged, as the graying of the baby boomers, ourselves included,
Yes, yep,
have
we're right in
changed,
there.
so haven't the services changed. So we have 2 types of services. One is what we call the True Companion Program, and that is to empower and enable folks to remain and age in place in their homes. That's where they want to. It's where they're the healthiest. So if they're no longer driving due to a disability or just simply economic reasons, some of them can't afford to keep cars and insurance.
Yeah, good.
So we will provide them with a companion once a week, twice a month. We do the best that we can to provide them with a companion as often as they need. But this companion will take them out and allow them to be self-sufficient. They're going to be able to go to the bank. They're going to be able to go to the post office. They're going to be able to go to the grocery store, job lot, wherever it is that they need to go, pharmaceuticals. So our importance always pharmaceuticals, shelter, and food. Those are the top 3. Those are the ones that we always immediately address. But there's also this element of socialization. It is so many of my clients and volunteers have become friends, almost to the family point. So that is the True Companion Program. It's the same day, same time. If there's a holiday, inclement weather, then I leave it with my volunteers and my clients to transition to a different day. So that is once a week, 2 hours max. It's a free service, and it is life-changing. It truly is. I cannot even begin to tell you how many clients are just like, this was amazing, this is great, and their families.
Yeah, yes.
And their
absolutely,
families.
yeah.
And then the other component of the companion program is medical transportation, and that is separate from the companion program. And that is charged at 60 cents per mile. And it's the same intake process.
Okay.
So once I do an intake on a client, identify what their needs are, then they are eligible for the medical transportation component as well. I have many clients that only use the medical transportation.
Okay.
They don't want to go to Springfield. They don't want to go to West Springfield. Or perhaps they're having an eye exam, and certainly it's not safe
They can't
to drive.
right? When they're done. Yeah, absolutely.
So that component is just simply they're in the companion program. They call me with the date, name, address, time of their.
So that's
medical
more of an
appointment.
as-needed basis.
That's on. That's on call.
Okay.
It's
All
a
right.
2-week notice at this point, just because we are so busy. Yeah, very, very busy. But both are really just empowering and enabling older adults to age in place, really. And that's what this program is.
And Joyce, I don't know that we can pin it down to sort of one type of client because, as you said, I mean, people stop driving for various reasons.
Right.
And, I think most of us tend to think, it's a vision thing or it's a hearing thing, but it also could be an economical thing.
Oh,
It's like,
especially
it's
at these
expensive
days.
to own a car and pay car insurance and pay for the gas and pay for the maintenance.
And repairs in cars. As you
Right.
age, you don't necessarily buy a new vehicle every few years.
Right.
Yeah.
And how often have I know we've had clients that have come through the lunch line saying, well, I'm giving up my car because it's just dying. I mean, it's got, a zillion thousand miles on it. And, do I really want to even buy, a pre-owned car with the expense and now my excise tax is going to go up and my insurance is going to go up and all of that
All of that,
stuff.
yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah.
The other thing that I'm seeing a lot of, especially with the baby boomer generation, is short-term.
Yeah.
So rehab, knee replacements, rotator cuff surgery, and they're either widowed, single. We have a global world these days. Our children don't stay in town like back in the day.
Yeah.
So, and not only that, but their partners may still be working.
Yeah.
So 60 and older is qualifying for this program.
Yep.
So you could very easily have a spouse or a partner that is still working, and most of your children could be working. So we'll get you to your physical therapy appointments until such time that you can drive.
But of course, Joyce, the silver lining to that, as you discovered and pointed out to me, which I think is just brilliant, is that when you get these younger, older adults, maybe who are newly retired, who maybe just needed a little short-term rehab because of a knee replacement or a hip replacement or, as you said, rotator cuff or whatever, after they're done with their stint, they make marvelous volunteers because they have now realized the benefit of the program.
Absolutely.
They are young, they are newly retired, and it's like, oh, now I can, it's kind of like paying it forward.
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, I think that's a great point, Tina, because I don't think that everyone realizes exactly how many services we provide at the Council on Aging. And I remember as a librarian realizing that people didn't understand all the services and programs and things like that we provided. So how do you get that information out? Well, you come on the radio.
Yeah, exactly.
You create
Come on,
brochures.
cable television. Hi, everybody.
Absolutely.
Here we are. Yeah.
And also it's by word of mouth.
Yep.
And it's not surprising to me, but it's surprising to clients when I go in and I perform that intake, how many services we do provide.
Yeah.
Because it's not just the companion program that we're here to discuss today, but it's all my coworkers that we are a team of resources.
Yeah, absolutely.
So especially with the baby boomers, I think that they're very surprised because they don't consider themselves senior center clients.
Right.
And we all are at 60.
Exactly. Hello. All right. On that note, that's a great sort of overview, Joyce, of the program. And I definitely want to get into talking about volunteering, the kind of qualities that we look for in volunteers, what kind of a commitment do the volunteers give. So we're going to save that for when we come back. We're going to take a short break. It is 7:34. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses and WCPC cable channel 15. If you're just joining us, my guest this morning is Joyce Peregrine, companion program coordinator at the Council on Aging. So in honor, we have Father's Day coming up. So when I was choosing my music this morning, I thought, I got to throw a couple of Father's Day songs in here. So this one is by Keith Urban. It's called Song for Dad. We'll be back.
Lately I've been noticing I say the same things he used to say, and I even find myself acting the very same way. I tap my fingers on the table to the rhythm in my soul, and I jingle the car keys when I'm ready to go. When I look in the mirror, he's right there in my eyes, staring back at me. And I realize the older I get, the more I can see how much he loved my mother and my brother and me. And he did the best that he could, and I only hope when I have my own family that every day I see a little more of my father and me. Times I thought he was being just a little bit hard on me, but now I understand he was making me become the man he knew that I could be. In everything he ever did, he always did with love, and I'm proud today to say I'm his son. When somebody says, I hope I get to meet your dad, I just smile and say, you already have. The older I get, the more I can see how much he loved my mother and my brother and me. And he did the best that he could, and I only hope when I have my own family that every day I see a little more of my father in me. He's in my eyes, my heart, my soul, my hands, my pride. And when I feel alone and I think I can't go on, I hear him sing, son, you'll be alright. Everything is gonna be alright. Yes, it is. The older I get, the more I can see that he loved my mother and my brother and me, and he did the best that he could. And I only hope when I have my own family, every day I'll see, oh, I hope I see, I hope every day I see a little more of my father and me.
Support for community radio on WSKB provided by Westfield Electroplating. Employing over 140 skilled platers, painters, and technicians, Westfield Electroplating was founded in 1946 and was the first company in the country to achieve National Aerospace and Defense Contractor Program accreditation, proudly maintaining that status for over a decade. Westfield Electroplating provides over 50 quality finishes to meet your corrosion, cosmetic, or performance needs. On the web at www.westfieldplating.com or 413-568-3716. Westfield Electroplating, putting the finishing touches on technology.
I'm Mark Auerbach. Join me every Friday at 8 a.m. for ArtSpeak, where you'll meet interesting actors, directors, designers, and musicians here in Western New England.
Community Radio 89.5 WSKB.
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 at 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 7:40. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield Masses and WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and my guest this morning is Joyce Peregrine, Companion Program Coordinator at the Senior Center at the Westfield Council on Aging. So welcome back again, Joyce. So, we've talked a little bit, Joyce, about your background, and we've talked a little bit about the program in general. I want to start to segue into the volunteering aspect, but before we do, let's talk about the types of clients that are really best serviced through our companion program, because it isn't for everyone. I mean, I know it sounds like, oh my God, this would be great, and everybody's out there thinking, oh, my mom needs this, my dad needs this, my uncle needs this. But not everybody. It's not for everybody. So
Absolutely.
Who can we best provide those services?
So as I had mentioned before, there is an intake process. And part of that intake process is because we can determine exactly how many services our client needs, whether or not this is the only service they need. And it's a great segue service. This is a great transition period for our clients to start to accept help.
Good point.
Allow that door to be opened, because it's hard to open your door to people that you don't know. So it's a really great way to realize that volunteers and outside services can be friendly and helpful, and thereby relieving the family of some of the obligations, never replacing family. So the types of clients that are best serviced in this are clients that are aging in place. They are looking to future the needs that they might have. Gee, I'm not as good at driving out of town anymore. So I would like to get rides to, my eye doctor in Springfield because that makes me nervous. Hats off to them that they realize that they shouldn't be going out of Westfield, but can stay, going down to Big Y. So they don't need a companion to take them to the market or the library or the bank, but they do when they're going out of town to a doctor's appointment. Clients that are looking for empowerment and support. So again, segueing into realizing that they may need more needs, and that's part of the intake process. And follow up with our clients, because this is the first door that opens. And they're planning ahead, right? We're planning ahead. Just as we plan ahead for our retirement, just as we plan ahead for, our children's college needs, this is part and parcel of aging in place. And that's really what we're trying to empower. Everybody wants to stay home if they can, or stay in a safe environment. And that's another role that we play.
So Joyce, what would be, well, let's follow up on that. Explain what you just said.
Well, I mean, as we age, can we get up and down the stairs? Can we get into the house? Is the house really more than we need? Do we have the things that we need? Perhaps do we need a safety line? Do we need a ramp going in and out of the house because we had a knee replacement that just simply made it difficult for me to do stairs? Do we have fire detectors in the house and carbon monoxide detectors in the house? What other services do we need in the home? Are your laundry facilities downstairs?
Yeah, where are they?
And you really can't do stairs. So that's part of the intake process, finding out, were you a veteran? Are there opportunities out there that you're not aware of? So the tax write-off is a good example. Foods, SNAP benefits, health insurance. So all of that is opening the door for other services. So when we do the companion program, we're not just taking you to the grocery store. We're laying that foundation for you to have other services.
Okay. Now, when you go in and you do an assessment, what would be an example of a case that would not be appropriate for the companion program?
Somebody who's not ambulatory. If you can't get out of your house on your own steam, you can use a walker. But if you can't get out of the house on your own steam, not only is that unsafe, but we use our volunteers are seniors. All of our volunteers are seniors. Some of my volunteers are in their 80s. We can't expect them to pick up a wheelchair.
Right, and put it in
They're
the car.
not trained. They're not physical therapists. They're not occupational therapists, nor am I.
Yes.
So we can't help you in and out of the vehicle. That's something that you really need to be able to do. Can we offer some assistance? Of course we can. But, we can't we can carry bags into the house to help you get your groceries in. Sure, we can. Or leave them right by the door for you to get. But you need to be able to put those groceries away on your own. We are limited to 2 hours, and many of our volunteers have other clients. So it is, you need to be able to get into a grocery store and get your groceries on your own.
Okay.
If you can't, then there's other options, but that's not in that 2 hour, once a week companion program element.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about this from the volunteers' standpoint. So that's like a completely different perspective.
Sure.
What are you looking for when you sort of recruit volunteers, or you're looking to get more volunteers? What are you looking for?
I'm just looking
What
for-
are the skills that people need?
Just to be friendly, dependable, compassionate. I think that volunteers don't realize how much they will get out of this. I just lost my mother this past year, and it's really great to spend time with our older adults, and the majority of our older adults truly are grateful for their service.
Yep.
And they're funny, they're unique, they're quirky, they are smart, they teach us things. They're not done teaching, and we're not done learning. So volunteers are giving back to their community too. It's empowering to be a volunteer and help somebody out. It's a really feel-good moment for you to be able to get somebody to a cancer treatment that otherwise may not get there. Or, an eye doctor's appointment, they've got macular degeneration and they need those shots in their eyes every 3 months. Well, you're helping them to retain their vision.
Yeah.
That's pretty superpower.
Yeah.
That's
that's fairly significant, I would say.
It's fairly significant.
Yeah, for sure.
And just simply, getting their groceries in, and also just being a part of the community. I think that's, so no special skills.
Okay.
Good driving record.
Yep.
The ability to commit. And there are 2 types of volunteering. I mean, you can commit
let's talk about that, because that was one of my questions. What's the time commitment? So if I say to you, Joyce, I'm kind of interested. This sounds like something that I would be good at, but I don't want to do it 20 hours a week. What am I signing up for?
Right. So just as there's an intake process for my clients, for our clients, there's an intake process for our volunteers. And there's forms that need to be filled out. We run a query, of course. And then there's an initial consultation or meeting, if you would have. And we discuss the elements of what you do, what you don't do, because we never replace family. And also the fact that we at the Council on Aging are always there. We are the people that you call to say, hey, she didn't answer her door. Okay. That's not your responsibility. So you're not you're not family, you're a volunteer. The Council on Aging is responsible for the client. You're responsible for going there at the time and doing the service that you have said that you would do. So the 2 elements of volunteering would be like, you can have a client once a week, twice a month that you pick up, take to the grocery store. A lot of them are like, all right, thanks, I'll see you in 20 minutes, have a good time. They go in, get their groceries, they come back and say, can I go to the dollar store to get the cards for the month? Go to the bank, go pick up my prescriptions, and then they go home. Sometimes they may say, do we have time to go through Dunkin' Donuts so I can get a coffee? And absolutely, if there is that time.
Sure.
Your time is just as important. And my clients understand that.
Yep.
There should not be any surprises. You should know exactly what you're doing when you go out. And there's a little form that they sign. And then that form comes back to me so that we can keep those statistics in spreadsheets, Tina.
In spreadsheets, because we know how much I love reading those spreadsheets. And it's like, well, it's really nice when I need the information. There are times when I just need statistics for whatever report I'm writing. And it's like, okay, Joyce, send me a spreadsheet. I know you've got this.
Well, so we know how many volunteer hours that we have. And then the other part of the volunteer can be as little as 2 to 3 hours a month. It may simply just be taking somebody up to the Coumadin clinic.
Yep.
It's a very important thing that so many people who are on blood thinners need to go up to Noble Hospital. They no longer have a shuttle. They have to go up there on a regular basis. It takes about 15 minutes. It's right here in Westfield, so you could be done in less than 45 minutes, once a month, and look at the service that you're providing.
Right.
That's a pretty good return on that 1 hour a month. That,
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, what's the farthest that a volunteer would take somebody?
So,
you mentioned Springfield. But
yeah, we really try to stay in the greater Westfield area. We truly do. We are cognizant of tolls and construction and time and our volunteers' times. So, we do have some clients that need to go into Springfield. Springfield is large.
Yeah.
Springfield can be 40 minutes away.
Yeah.
And the thing with volunteers is the one most important thing that I say to all my volunteers, I hear the word no. If you're even hesitant saying yes to me, I'm going to say to you, listen, I can call someone else. Would you be a backup? Don't say yes to please me. Say yes because you actually have the time to do it.
and you're comfortable doing it.
And you're comfortable doing it.
Yeah.
And I have volunteers, seriously, that only do one medical transportation in Westfield every other month. And I am so grateful to have them.
Yeah.
I am so grateful to have them. So, we make a community of volunteers. We serve the community that we live in. I always, in my interview with my volunteers, ask, how far will you go? Are you comfortable leaving Westfield? Do you want to be with one client 2 hours every week or twice a month? And that's it? That's perfect. That's huge. Or do you want to be on call list?
Sort of the medical, I'm the person who's doing the medical transportation and, I don't know where I'm going to go or who I'm going to take. Maybe it's somebody I've never, worked with before.
Right.
Yeah, and some people are, are fine with that.
And sometimes you meet somebody that you're providing medical transportation and you say, if they ever need a companion, I would love to, because we really hit it off.
Yes. Well, let's talk about that. How does that matching? So for somebody who's going to be working with someone on a regular basis, how does that matching process work?
I think I've said this to you before. I feel like I'm a matchmaker. So I definitely do personalities. I get personalities. Some of our clients are strong, so we need a strong volunteer who has the ability to say, no. No, we're not going to the mall shopping for 3 hours. We're going to the grocery store.
All right, exactly.
But also we have clients that are, I don't want to take too much of your time. And you're like, no, it's okay.
It's
We're
okay.
gonna go.
What do you really need?
What do
Just
you
be
really
honest
need?
with
This
me.
is me. I'm here. This is our time. So we have clients that just really hit it off and really become good friends. And I even have a volunteer to this day who meets up with the son and daughter of one of our clients that passed 4 years ago. She meets up with them once a year to have lunch and just
neat.
follow up.
That's pretty
So when you talk about rewarding,
Yeah.
it's very rewarding, but it's also very important to remember that you are not family and you are not the Council on Aging. We are the ones that are going to be there for the crises. The family is going to be there for the crisis. You are there providing friendship and companionship.
Yep.
That is the biggest thing and the biggest gift that we can give of our time as humans.
Yeah. And Joyce, now what happens? I'm just trying to look at this from the volunteer's point of view. So I'm a new volunteer. You match me with somebody. So how does that matching process? So you come up and you decide. It's like, okay, I think this person and this person would hit it off. So what happens? Do you?
So what I do is I
introduce
meet.
them, or
So
what happens?
I introduce them. So I meet the new volunteer at the client's house.
Okay.
We set up a time that's convenient for everybody. We go in and we do an initial 15-minute conversation. And I always say to my volunteers before we go in, at any moment, if you feel uncomfortable, just simply signal to me.
Yep.
Just kind of raise your hand a little bit and I'll say, all right, so we'll be in touch. If you feel really comfortable, then the conversation will be, well, I need to get back to the office. So I'm going to be leaving, and it's your opportunity to stand up as a volunteer and say, it was really nice to meet you. What day? I've already decided days and times because I've already talked to my volunteer. This is the availability, and so I'm matching that time frame with a client. So I don't make the second appointment with the client. I talk to the volunteer after. How do you feel? Do you feel comfortable taking them out and when would you like to start? Then I contact the client.
Okay.
And explain to the client that the volunteer will be calling them to start on Tuesday at 10 o'clock. So Tuesday from 10 to 12. And that is when I also say to the client, are you comfortable with me giving that information, your phone number, your last name, to this volunteer? So it's a very well thought process, and it's a very simple, easy process. Do you like each other? Do you want to get back together? So think of it as, meeting someone new, and do you hit it off, or do you say, well, there's somebody I don't want to spend any time with?
Exactly. And I think potential volunteers need to understand that we're not throwing you to the wolves, and if for whatever reason. And it could be, God, that guy reminds me of this uncle that I just couldn't stand. For whatever, it doesn't matter. It could be the craziest reason ever. But if you don't think it's going to work, we're not going to force it to try to make it work.
No, it needs to be organic because we want this to be a friendship. We want this to be a good experience for both.
Right.
And it has to be good.
Now let me ask you this, Joyce. So I'm working with a client. Maybe we've been working together for a year. Everything is going swimmingly well. I show up to take them grocery shopping and there's a problem. Either the person doesn't look well or the person seems confused or, just any number of things. They're not put together the way they usually are and there's a red flag.
Yep.
What am I doing?
You are immediately calling us. We, the Council on Aging.
Okay.
When you call the Council on Aging, immediately upon reaching the front desk, you're going to say, this is my name. This is Joyce Peregrine. I'm a volunteer at the Companion Program. I'm at my client's house. This is my client's name.
I have concerns.
Yep. I don't feel comfortable taking her out. I think that she's sick.
Yep.
So we will take care of it. We will take care of it right then and there.
Yeah.
And you don't stay as a volunteer. You don't stay. We're going to be taking care of it. We have all that contact information, just as we have the volunteers' contact information.
And I just, because I think that's, I think that people would be concerned. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be working with an elderly population, and what if something goes wrong? Well, we deal with that all the time. Things go wrong a lot.
There's worst case scenarios. I had a client that was in a grocery store, and she fell. And so the volunteer stayed with her.
Yeah.
The store manager had called the ambulance. The volunteer called us. And we said to her, thank you very much. You should go home.
You're done.
We've got it from here.
Yeah.
We immediately got in touch with the family.
Yep.
Who went to the hospital and provided us with follow-up.
Yep.
And we asked if it was okay if we let the volunteer know that person would be staying or had gone home, everything was okay, and that, she was going to be, we'll take it easy for a week, and then we should get back to the regular schedule. Same thing happens if we have a client who, for some reason, does have a medical episode and goes to an emergency room or to a hospital. We're going to let the volunteer know that, we're not just going to let you show up.
Right. It's like, okay, you don't have to come today because, and that's really no different than if somebody falls at the senior center or has a medical episode at the senior center. We do the same thing. It's like, we're going to call 911. We're going to give them whatever information we can give them. We're going to send them on their way to the hospital. They're going to be out the door, and I'm going to be on the phone with the emergency contact saying, we just sent your mother, your sister, your, whomever to the hospital. She's got her purse. She has all of her stuff. Same thing. And the family, usually it's like, okay, we're on our way.
Right.
And my last thing is usually, please let me know how things turn out. Because, of course, if it happened in a fitness class or in the middle of lunch, the seniors are all worried and concerned. How is so-and-so? I said, I know they're going to be asking me 1,000 questions. So, if you could give me that information, that would be great. If you're comfortable with me just saying, she's okay, they admitted her to the hospital, it'll be a day or so, whatever. So,
but I think the most important element in all of this is that I keep going back to the word community.
Yes.
So think about the fact that if you weren't a volunteer and you weren't going to their house and you weren't knocking on the door, where would that client be?
Yeah.
Where would that neighbor be?
Right.
And that's one of the emphasis that we always put on the volunteer program is think of it as being like a neighbor.
Yeah, I think I really want to finish with that because I love that concept. You and I were talking about that off air. So, because I said, would it be with the types of services that are provided, where do you draw the line? And your analogy was it's anything you would ask your neighbor to do, anything that you wouldn't ask a neighbor to do is off the table.
Yeah, we don't do personal care. We're not trained CNAs. We're not doing their laundry. We're not cleaning their house. We're not balancing their checkbooks. We're not acting as their advocate in a medical situation. We're providing a service, and that service is companionship and transportation. And really, that's where it ends, just as we would ask our neighbors. You know, we wouldn't say to our neighbors, you know, could you come over and, you know, make my bed?
Right.
We're not
Exactly,
going to
yeah.
do that.
So Joyce, because we're running out of time,
Yeah.
and I just want to get this in very quickly before we leave, because I'm sure this is one of the questions that we should have addressed. So the volunteers use their own vehicles.
They do.
And they are reimbursed for
They
mileage.
are at 60 cents per mile.
Yeah, so they are
Yeah.
reimbursed for mileage. So
They
I don't
are.
want people to think, oh my gosh, you know, I'd love to do this, but I can't afford it. You know.
No, actually, it can make a little
Yeah.
difference, especially if you're helping a neighbor. I mean,
Yeah.
if you
Yeah,
live
you're right there.
less than a mile away from somebody, we never send anyone out for less than 10 miles. So at the very least.
All right. So if we have engaged some people, and if we have some people that we have piqued their interest, how do they get a hold of you?
They call me at the Westfield Senior Center or email me, but 562-6435.
Very good. And on that note, thank you, Joyce Peregrine, Companion Program Coordinator at the Westfield Council on Aging. Again, we are always looking for good volunteers. And if you are just a friendly person and you have a wish to give, you know, a couple hours, even if it's a couple hours just once a month, we'd love to have you. So give us a call at 562-6435. Next week, I have a full slate. I have both Dr. Akanyele Lovelace on my first hour. I have Jen DeFune doing Food for Thought on the second hour. So I will see you then. Have a good week. Happy Father's Day.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Duncan